Not in my wildest dreams, Matty, but just like you guys. I dreamt as a kid of faraway treasures, islands and pirates.
Gary Drayton didn't fade out. He vanished. No announcement, no farewell, not even a passing mention. After nearly 200 episodes, his name disappears from the credits overnight, like someone hit delete on his entire history. And just when fans start asking questions, she shows up. Katya, his daughter, steps into the spotlight with a calm smile. A metal detector in hand and an iron artifact that looks pulled straight out of a hidden tunnel system beneath Oak Island. The timing isn't coincidence. It feels like a shift in the story was planned long before anyone noticed. Gary wasn't just the guy waving around metal detectors. He was part of the show's heartbeat. When the crew stumbled onto something interesting, he was always right there with that mischievous smile, like he already knew what they were about to uncover. But in the last chunk of the season, he's missing. No mention, no explanation, just gone. It doesn't feel accidental, it feels planned. And the silence around it is louder than any dig site. Let's take it back. Early in season 12, business as usual. Episode 7, Gary's there. Episode 8, still there. Episode 9, yep, he's checking in. Then episode 10 hits, Graves' concerns, and boom, he disappears completely. His name removed from the credits with surgical precision. And right in that same window, Katya shows up on the island, all confidence, telling the team that the iron she found might be part of an old tunnel. She's clearly skilled. She's been detecting since she was a kid, after all, but the entrance timing, a little too cinematic. It didn't feel like a coincidence. It felt like a handoff. One Drayton stepping out while another steps in. Fans have started calling it a soft swap. Keep the family name, but swap the face. Ease viewers into the change without shaking the boat too hard. But when someone with Gary's footprint, 170 episodes worth, vanishes mid-season, there's no such thing as subtle. Could he have scheduling issues? Maybe. Could he be taking a break? Also possible, but disappearing for 4 straight episodes at the exact moment Katya arrives with no explanation from anyone involved. That feels manufactured. And the fans noticed instantly. Social media lit up with questions. Where is he? Is Katya replacing him? Why won't anyone say something? Meanwhile, the network's response? Silence. Total blackout. No hints, no statements, not even a vague, "He'll be back." This is the most watched show on the History Channel, sitting comfortably in the top 100 shows across TV. People who watch Oak Island pay attention. They know the crew as well as they know the theories. You can't just hide a major cast member and hope no one asks questions. The transition from Gary to Katya wasn't even disguised. It played out like a storyboard. The veteran steps out. The next generation arrives. The audience is expected to nod and move on. But viewers didn't. They immediately sensed that something was off. Katya, to her credit, knows what she's doing. She's been around dig sites almost her whole life. But the way she was introduced, no lead-up, no explanation, just appearing as if she'd always been part of the hunt, felt jarring. If production wanted to freshen things up, they did it with the subtlety of a dynamite blast. That iron piece she pulled up might truly be significant. But the bigger significance wasn't the artifact. It was the message. Katya is the new Drayton on deck. And that's fine, when the audience isn't left in the dark. Instead, Gary's disappearance was treated like a secret. No farewell, no acknowledgement. It's like he was erased. This wasn't a small edit to save runtime. This was a deliberate shift, one handled in complete silence. And fans don't appreciate being shut out, especially not with someone who's been a core part of the show's identity. When a long-time personality just evaporates with zero explanation, viewers start filling in the blanks themselves. Maybe contract issues, maybe creative conflicts, maybe burnout. Every theory gains momentum when the studio refuses to say anything, and the network, sitting on top of a ratings powerhouse and acting like nothing unusual happened. No tease, no wink, no more to come. Just dead quiet. And that silence only amps up fan speculation. Imagine watching a sports game, and the star player is suddenly missing from the lineup with no injury report. That's how this feels. One week, Gary is bringing his signature excitement to every find. The next week, he's vanished into thin air. He added personality, he added energy, he added flavor. His quirky slang, his reactions, the way he hyped discoveries, even the small ones, made the show more fun. Without him, something feels off. Katya arrived, but Gary evaporated. And that unspoken shift speaks volumes. That's why his absence feels unfinished, like a story missing its final chapter. No closure, no explanation, just a quiet goodbye that no one officially said out loud. The Curse of Oak Island thrives on mysterious objects and buried history, but turning a cast member into a mystery themselves. That's new territory, and not the kind fans enjoy. Season 13 might clear things up. Maybe Gary will return, swinging the detector like nothing ever happened. Or maybe Katya will fully step into the spotlight, and the show will pretend everything is normal. But even then, fans will remember. They'll remember how he disappeared, how production never addressed it, how it all felt orchestrated. His last credited appearance was January 21st, 2025, Episode 9. After that, radio silence. And Katya's big find happening right around that same time. Hard to call that random. Whether he's stepping away for good, taking a breather, or preparing for a dramatic return, one thing is clear: the viewers noticed. And until the truth comes out, the silence will echo louder than any metal detector chirping across the island. Keep an eye on the shoreline. Something's coming. Maybe not treasure, but definitely answers. Eventually. And here's the kicker. Just as Gary fades out, Katya steps right in. Literally, not a metaphor. She walks onto the island with a metal detector like she's clocking in for a normal day. The timing? Too bold to ignore. She steps onto the scene with a grin and a metal detector in her hand, digging up old iron fragments like she's been doing it for decades. There are a few theories that match this era, somewhere between the 1600s and the mid-1700s, she says. And honestly, it tracks. She's been tagging along with her dad since she was a kid. This isn't a beginner taking her first swing. This is a trained apprentice finally stepping into the spotlight. And that changes the vibe instantly. It doesn't feel like a fun cameo. It feels like a trial run. TV producers love smooth transitions, no bumps, no noise, unless it's the kind they can script. Behind the curtain, they want the handoff to be clean. Introducing someone with Gary's last name. That's smart business. Familiarity plus freshness. She isn't a random new hire. She's the next generation of Drayton. She bridges the old era and whatever they're building next. That's why fans aren't just asking, "Where's Gary?" They're asking, "Why her? Why now? Why this season?" Because changes this big don't happen without something driving them. Maybe Gary needed time off. Maybe he had other projects. Maybe production wants to rework the formula. Whatever the trigger, the outcome is obvious. The show is shifting. But not everyone is convinced by the timing. Fans are scanning credits, comparing appearances, hunting for patterns. They want clarity, and right now, clarity is the one thing nobody's giving. Gary hasn't said a word publicly. The network hasn't said a word either. No announcements, no nods, nothing. Just quiet. And for a show built on uncovering secrets, the silence feels poetic. Meanwhile, the digs keep happening. The crew keeps digging. And she keeps showing up. She doesn't move like someone filling in. She moves like someone settling into a long-term role. Sure, Gary might slide back in later, but it wouldn't be shocking if she ends up taking the reins. She already has the gear. All she has to do is keep using it. Shows like this cycle through people all the time, but this transition feels more intentional, more calculated. It's slow, gentle, strategic, like the producers want you to feel like you saw it coming, even if you didn't. So maybe the biggest mystery on Oak Island isn't under the ground. It's happening above it. A shift in the cast, a passing of the torch, a change delivered quietly, so quietly you almost missed it. Watch closely. The treasure hunt is still happening, sure, but the real digging might be in the lineup. And the newest Drayton on the beach, she's doing exactly what she learned at her father's side. Here's the twist. She's not just filling space. She's carving out her own narrative, standing beside veterans, holding her own, slotting herself into the rhythm of the hunt. Getting a signal here, she says. And every beep isn't just pointing to buried metal. It's pointing to her future role. She's not a carbon copy of Gary. She's a remix, a new version, her own style. Notice how the camera lingers on her hands, dusting off a find. That's not random. Editors don't highlight someone unless they're building them up. Those close-ups are breadcrumbs. They're telling you, pay attention. You're going to be seeing a lot more of her. And the edits make it obvious. This isn't a temporary guest spot. She's getting her own scenes, her own reveals, her own little triumphs. Viewers are being introduced to her on purpose. Softly, slowly, deliberately. Online reactions prove it. The moment she appeared, the internet lit up. Fans questioned it, debated it, celebrated it, but nobody ignored it. And yet something still doesn't sit right. Because this shift, it feels bigger than just a new detector in the sand. The future of Oak Island might look very different. Not because of treasure, but because of who's standing in the spotlight. Shows like this need evolution to stay alive. Bringing in Katya gives the series new life. A younger voice, a different approach, a fresh curiosity. Gary had the charm, the catchphrases, the swagger. Katya brings speed, drive, forward momentum. And momentum is more valuable than gold when you've been running for 12 seasons. If she keeps proving herself, and she already is, it won't take long before fans start seeing her as the new metal-detecting star of the island. Gary might return, and fans would welcome him instantly, but there's no denying the shift. The tone is changing. The energy is changing. The Drayton legacy is changing hands. And that's not a goodbye. It's a baton pass. Under Oak Island's soil, it's not just artifacts waiting to be unearthed. It's the next chapter, the next legend. And this time, Katya might be the one leading the charge. Back in the early seasons, Gary was the show's spark, bounding across the dirt with that detector, shouting with excitement like every nail was a treasure chest. And it worked, because the show felt real. There were old maps, whispered rumors, dangerous tunnels, half history, half adventure flick. Then things shifted. Fewer real digs, more dramatic music, more talking, less action, more slow-motion glances, and could this be theatrics? And that didn't happen by accident. It was a choice. Production wanted bigger reactions, bigger emotion, bigger moments they could tease in promos. Meanwhile, Gary started appearing less and less, not dramatically, just enough to make viewers blink and go, "Wait, where'd he go?" Some say the producers wanted more drama and less boots in the mud work. Others think Gary wasn't thrilled with the direction. The machinery, the risky setups, the questionable safety moments. Maybe he didn't sign up for that. Maybe he stepped away on his own terms. And then there's the long-running theory. What if the treasure was found or lost centuries ago? If Gary felt like the magic had faded, maybe his heart just wasn't in it anymore. Sure, the show claims everything is unscripted, but when you're squeezing a 60-hour dig into a 40-minute episode, storytelling tricks are inevitable. Maybe he didn't vibe with the TV version of treasure hunting anymore. Now fans are playing detective on Reddit, YouTube, and forums. Some say he's off filming his own show. Others think he clashed with producers. Some whisper personal issues. Nobody knows, and the show won't say a word. The silence just keeps fueling the fire. Fans miss the old energy, the real excitement, the thrill that maybe, just maybe, they'd find something world-changing. Gary gave them that feeling. Without him, something feels flatter, quieter, less alive. Oak Island is still on air, still promising the next big breakthrough, but each season feels more like a loop, more build-up, fewer payoffs. Maybe Gary's disappearance isn't the cause. Maybe it's a symptom. Maybe the show isn't what it once was. Maybe it never was. And maybe Gary Drayton was the last piece of authenticity holding it together. What actually happened to him? If the truth isn't buried under Oak Island, it's buried under edits, contracts, and NDAs. But fans are starting to understand one thing. When even the treasure hunter walks away, maybe it's time to stop digging. And now we reach the moment everyone's been circling around. The part nobody says out loud, but everyone feels in their gut. Because the biggest twist this season isn't buried under centuries of soil. It's happening right in front of the cameras. Something shifted. Something changed. And it all started when she walked into the frame, like she belonged there from day one. Look at the way she scans the ground. Look at the way the crew watches her work. That's not the energy of someone stepping in to cover a gap. That's the energy of someone who has been waiting for her turn, quietly, patiently, intentionally. And now that she's here, she's not fading into the background. She's anchoring scenes, finding artifacts, getting those clean close-ups editors use when they're building a star. You can sense it. The show is preparing the audience for something. Not with big announcements, not with press releases, just with subtle, steady storytelling. The same style they use to introduce every major shift. And fans aren't blind to it. They're asking the right questions. Why is she suddenly in so many episodes? Why isn't Gary commenting? Why is production so strangely quiet? When a show famous for digging up clues suddenly stops giving any, that's your biggest clue of all. What makes this moment even more fascinating is the contrast. Back in the early seasons, Gary was a lightning bolt, charging across dig sites with that unmistakable enthusiasm, turning every beep into a mini-adventure. He brought heart, humor, and authenticity, and viewers connected with that instantly. He made treasure hunting feel less like a job and more like a shared excitement. But over time, the rhythm changed. The show leaned heavier into dramatic beats, bigger musical cues, slower pacing, more theorizing, less action. Some fans liked it. Others felt something went missing. And right when that shift became noticeable, Gary's presence started fading, not disappearing, just drifting slightly out of frame. Then she arrived, not as a replacement, not as a copy, but as a completely new version of the Drayton name: modern, sharp, fast, curious. She doesn't argue with the legends that came before her, she expands on them. She slips into the work naturally, like she's been rehearsing for this moment long before the cameras ever pointed her way. And that's what makes the whole situation so interesting. If this were just a cameo, she wouldn't be getting highlight shots. If this were temporary, the editors wouldn't be giving her focused arcs. If this were a placeholder, the fandom wouldn't be buzzing the way it is right now. This feels crafted, deliberate, long-term. People forget that shows like this are built on evolution. They have to change. They have to refresh. They have to bring in new energy, or they eventually stall out. And maybe, just maybe, that's what's happening here. Maybe this isn't a mystery. Maybe it's a transition, a passing of the torch, delivered quietly so fans don't panic. You can see it in the pacing of the episodes. The camera doesn't hover awkwardly. The story doesn't skip beats. She fits, almost too well. And that raises another question. How long has production been planning this? Weeks, months, maybe longer. Whatever the timeline, the impact is already clear. She's bringing something new, something faster, fresher, more grounded. And viewers are responding. They're curious. They're analyzing every frame she appears in. They're reading between the lines because the show isn't giving them any lines to read. Meanwhile, Gary's silence is echoing. Not one interview, not one comment, not even a passing mention from the crew. When someone who was once the face of excitement suddenly steps back without explanation, fans notice. They remember, and they ask questions. Lots of them. Did he choose to step aside? Was he pushed out? Is this temporary? Or is this the new reality of the show? Nobody knows. And until someone speaks, everything is speculation. But here's the twist. While everyone is busy debating Gary's absence, they're missing what's happening right in front of them. A new chapter is writing itself. She's not trying to replicate Gary's legacy. She's forging her own. She's more methodical, more measured, more technical. She doesn't fill silence with catchphrases. She lets the finds speak for themselves. And that contrast is exactly what the producers want. Fresh energy with familiar roots. You can see it in the way she examines each artifact. You can hear it in the confidence of her voice. You can feel it in the way the episodes position her as part of the future, not the past. Whether viewers are ready or not, the show has already started moving forward. And that raises the biggest question of all. Is this the beginning of a new era for Oak Island? Because if Katya continues stepping up, finding pieces, delivering results, and connecting with audiences, the answer might already be written. The island's mysteries may stay buried, but the direction of the show isn't. It's right in front of us. So pay attention. Watch how often she appears. Watch how the narrative shifts around her. Watch how the editors highlight her reactions, her discoveries, her presence. Those are not accidents. Those are signals. Signals that the hunt is changing hands. Signals that a new lead might be emerging. Signals that the legacy of the Drayton name isn't ending. It's evolving. And here's the part that nobody wants to say, but everyone is thinking. Maybe the treasure wasn't the only thing waiting to be found on this island. Maybe the show was waiting for a new spark. Maybe she is that spark. So here's what I want from you. Drop your thoughts in the comments. Do you think this is a temporary shift? Or do you think the producers are quietly setting up the next generation of treasure hunters? Let me know below. And hey, if you enjoyed this breakdown, hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications. Because trust me, whatever happens next, You won't want to miss it.